I stay with the heat even though I'm a sad boy. You better watch the way you breathe around me for that breath be your last boy. I've been drinking red boy. I been chopping down these birds, McCoy. No, I bet my rich a million 9 months. Overseas, kind of skin.
Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. Your boy Prince of Wood is back here with another video. Today I am having some trouble with the video. Don't know what the hell is going on, but as usual I'm gonna get y'all some. So hope you enjoy this part. Hope you enjoy the last part. And I'm on the third part of the Arthur series, trying to figure out how to incorporate all the magic, because as you all know, Arthur Leland is by far one of the most broken characters aside from Rimuru Tempest, especially in the fucking light novels. This man is literally a god, honestly. But it's fun writing it. Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell to stay up to date on all future videos. Get a ping or something so YouTube can stop messing with my notification system, because it does that to everyone. And yeah, enjoy yourselves and have a good time. Let's start it with the recap. We last began with Fenrir and Langris's teams facing one another. This ends in tragedy as Fenrir is left near death, angering the bulls as Asta beats up Langris quite a bit before facing him and his team in battle and thoroughly destroying him and destroying the crystal. He would then unite the knights, making them accept him for the first time collectively, and then eventually faces Yuno's team, wins. They all then go to the Gravito Belt Monozone, where they attack the Eye of the Midnight Sun. While they are doing so, however, a massive spell of unknown origins is unveiled, leaving the bodies of fellow magic knights possessed by elves, which Asta has to face before leaving the rest to Merleona. He goes and meets back up with Zora and wakes up Yuno, and together they face the elf leader and would then escape to the forest below, meeting other knights. Asta by this point has figured out also how to, he's gotten a certain clue as to how to free their fellow knights, and they head to the capital. But we will begin this part with a different perspective, that of the villagers of Hodge. With the night sky having fallen already, they're quite surprised to see this giant piece of land floating over them. It's brimming with a lot of mana as well. Ah, so they made it. My comrades, said a magic knight. Hailing from the Gora Peacock, the knight came here to help the village as, of course, since Geldor betrayed the kingdom, they're seen in a bad light, so he was trying to help the reputation, but he was just simply affected by the spell. The villagers just didn't notice, and now it was too late, and as he turned to face them, the man was now marked and was brimming with a bunch of golden mana. This village, these humans, their mana is quite weak. This must be a discriminatory plan to keep those with no prowess trapped, he said. Sister? Asked Nash as he tugged on her dress. That guy's a magic knight, right? Many begin to approach the man, carefully asking if he can explain what's going on, but this man erupts with anger as he creates a massive plant, the vines of which spread, latching onto some of them, and they fall, foaming at the mouth, being poisoned. What are you doing? Get away from him! Unlike you humans, we elves do not discriminate. We will wipe out all of you, equally. Just then, however, a fist of water goes flying at him as he turns to face Sister Lily, easily blocking it with a shield of vines. What are you doing? You're hurting them. Sister, run. Don't let them touch you. One of those affected by these vines is Father Orsi, who lies on the ground beside her, his life force being stripped away as the children cry, but Lily stands strong for them. Why are you doing this? Are you what they call a noble? To answer your question, to us, your lives are as worthless as the next. How can you possibly say that? These people have done nothing to you? They spent their lives in the sticks, suffering, dreaming, loving, crying, smiling. Their ending shouldn't be as sad as this. They fought too much for all they have. You're right. So we're gonna remove the root cause of this despair. That's you humans. Thorn-filled vines are fired at Lily at this point, but Nash then gets in front of her, saying, Stay away from her sister. Nash, no. As the vines near them, however, in a flash, Asta and Yuno make their entrance, ripping these vines and roots to shreds, leaving everyone wide-eyed. Asta, Yuno. As if her life flashed before her in a moment, Lily sees these grown young men the way they used to be, naive and young, but now they've truly bloomed. Good work, Nash, said Yuno. We'll take care of the rest, said Asta, as he raises his blade, with Libya and him then creating a magnificent halo that begins to absorb the mana of the elf, while Yuno would then charge, entering Spirit Dive as the elf then asks, Aren't you one of us? In a flash, appears before him, kicking him in the torso, knocking the wind out of him as all his plans are violently ripped to shreds, absorbed into the halo. This also takes care of the effects of the poisons that have festered in the villagers until Orsi returns to normal. Asta, do it now, yells as he grabs the elf, throwing him at Asta, who palm strikes him, destroying the spell as a magic circle explodes from his body, shattering, and the markings of the night then begin to fade. At this point, all those who were previously affected rise, hugging one another, happy to just be alive. And Asta's siblings run and hug him for dear life, happy he's here along with who then runs over checking on all of them, Orsi, Lily, just to make sure they're okay. It's okay. We're not going anywhere, said Asta. Actually, we have to leave really quick. But you just got here, said Arlu. Kneeling down, Asta would caress her face, saying that they'll be back. Wait for us, okay? As she nods, though, she also points out Asta's eyes, his mark, and Libe, who simply says, "Sup?" Well, that would take way too long to explain. It's really Asta and they've grown so much. The villagers gather around seeing them, and it's really a sight to behold, honestly. And Orsi asked, "Can I ask why you're in such a rush?" The entire realm's filled with occurrences like these. People being taken over, attacking loved ones, said Though sad to see them go already, they understand because this seems quite dire, and would grab the knight who was out cold, saying that he would head to the magical signature he senses from the south. I'll take the north then. As they nod, they take off with Asta creating his dragon and creating his arc, and they both ride off with everyone waving goodbye. And as Asta waves back, Libby would say, "So that's your family." "Yep, that's the reason I fight so hard. They don't blame you for not holding back on the mana. I'm fired up now." The dragon would then speed up, surprising Asta, who indulges in his excitement, saying, "Okay, let's finish this. We'll save everyone." With this boosted speed, Asta quickly reaches a certain region, as the dragon would then fade, with them flying and spearing the air towards rubble, landing and releasing a shockwave, knocking back Rufru, aka the elf that has taken control of Luck's body, and stopping him from hurting Magna in the process. "Asta, you idiot, you're late," said Magna. "I apologize, we'll make this quick." Rufru eventually manages to stop himself and gets ready for a fight, with Vanessa yelling to be careful. "This one's merciless." Just then, a cat would then land on Asta's head, leaving him confused until he finds his eyes telling him where this creature originates from, and he smiles, pointing his blade to the elf. Vanessa-senpai surpassed her limits, didn't she? I expected as much. Rufuru at this moment would then smirk when he notices a tear falling from his eyes. And holding onto his face, he's left confused, asking Asta, "Who are you to this human?" Getting in a stance, Asta and Libe would then copy another one's movements as they would thrust together and appear before the elf in an instant, tapping his chest as a magic circle is ripped out of Luck before it is purged, cracked, and destroyed. I'm his friend. For a moment, even if only slightly, Rufuru's true self would peer through. I want to have human friends too. Humans like you. Luck would then stumble a bit, hanging his head as he begins to shiver with Magna and Vanessa running over, wondering what Asta did, and Luck himself finally spoke. I'm sorry, I couldn't do anything. I'm still a Black Bull, right? We're still friends, right? They're less surprised to see Luck's weeping face. Never having seen him so emotional before, he truly seemed to be really sorry. Obviously, he can't control his movements, so he felt like this was all really his fault. But being the man he is, Magna brings his longtime friend's head to his chest. Of course we are, you idiot. As he bawls his eyes out, they give him a bit of a moment until he returns to his usual self as he proceeds to kick Magna while thanking them all. The hell was that for? What for? He's clearly trying to hide his embarrassment, you delinquent. Those were quite some words, said Vanessa. As he screams at the witch to not make this sound so bad, Vanessa then asks how Asta freed Luck, and he said that he and Libe made a new spell in the spur of the moment, and it just happened to work. It'll enable us to put an end to this, but for now I'm worried about the others. Alright, the base, let's go. So they all agree and they start heading home, and along the way, Luck, still having an idea of how the elf's mana worked while he was inside his body, uses it subconsciously and somewhat masterfully. However, upon arriving, they find the base ruined and left in shambles. They see the sad Gordon, Gray, and Henry just just curled up, just drawing in the sand, just completely depressed. But then when they see Asta, they cheer up and like, "Oh, Asta, you're back." And getting in high spirits again, they run to him only to then instantly fall to the floor as Henry starts to sap their magic by accident. Who the hell is this bastard? Asked Magna. Another elf, maybe? Asta would then push Henry a bit far away from everyone, allowing his curse to no longer work, as he then says, "No, he's Grey-senpai. He owns this house." As they stand, Vanessa would ask, "Why isn't he affecting you?" It's a causality effect, I guess. My magic allows me to passively absorb spells and magic, so when he steals some of my mana from me, I take some back. It's a constant cycle, reducing the effects to 0. "Yep, that makes sense," said Gordon. It is Asta, after all," said Gray. "Oi!" As they all turned, startled, Charmy would march onto the scene, asking who wrecked not the base, but her precious garden. "It wasn't you, was it?" she asked, pointing to Henry, who shakes his head, and this is when the three who were present explain what happened, from the trio of Sally, Valtos, and Rades attacking, to Ghost becoming an elf and going off and going away. And because everyone is hungry, Charmy is pissed and feeds them all out of rage, and then gives some food to Henry, allowing him to rebuild the Black Bull base, but even make it stronger, therefore forming the Raging Black Bull formation. "Okay, let's go save the kingdom," yells Asta. "Hell yeah, I want all the elves for myself right now. We're gonna save everybody." The bulls charge through the forest at incredible speed, allowing them to quickly reach the nearest commoner town to them, one by the name of Hikairo. And as he munches on his food, Asta would say, "I sense 3 elves. They're activating a spell." "Leave it to me," yells Henry. The elves notice them as they stare upon the carnage they had caused in this place. Innocents trapped in ice, beaten, worn like ragdolls, as even the remaining knights who were here to fight could no longer do much. "Another group of humans comes this way. Then they shall not pass," said one of the elves, as they create a giant wall using earth magic, only for it to be instantly rammed through by the bull, surprising them as the house would then throw a punch, sending them flying and sending rubble flying everywhere else. This, however, means remaining citizens were about to be hit, but that's when Vanessa opened a window, spreading her threads about and catching the fallen debris. Charmy then spreads her cotton pads, catching falling people and such. Gray goes around transmuting dangerous hazards such as flames or other things to completely harmless things. "The Black Bulls are here. They're gonna save us." Now the people were a little bit more reassured, and the elves would take to the sky and at this point see one man atop the formation, and Asta would hold his blade forward, saying, "I'll make this quick since we don't have much time. I'm Asta of the Black Bulls." In a flash, she disappears, appearing behind the elves, whose magic would then be ripped out of them in the form of magic circles that then shatter. "The strongest Night Order," he continued. "Alright, 3 more down," yells Magna. Asta would then land as Charmy would then send out pads to catch the falling knights, and the boy would put away his blade, and holding his hand out, he activates Sun Spirit magic. Beneficent Sanctuary. Forming as a halo first, this construct takes the form of a giant bodhisattva, I don't know why it's so hard to say that. It's a giant bodhisattva, basically like a giant Buddha. Think of Netero's hands and all that statue thing. And it would clasp his hands together, letting out a heat wave that begins to heal everyone who find themselves enveloped by flames. "Guys, gather them up," said Asta. "Getting right on it." "If this happened from 3 of them, and then it's crazy to imagine what would happen to the others," said Liba. "That's why we're gonna stop them." Just then, though, Asta would feel the presence as he turns to see a familiar portal, a portal out of which land Valtos, Rades, and Sally. To say they were battered is an understatement. "Hey there, Black Bulls. They're the ones who attacked the hideout," yells Gordon. As he and Charmy run over, she hates them as they of course destroyed her garden. "What business do you have with us?" "Oh, nothing with you," said Rades, "but that bastard licked. He has to pay. He tricked me and tried to sacrifice me for his own bullshit. I ain't letting that die." "And you want us to help you with your revenge?" asked Libe. "You're really trying to die." Instantly, they're all trapped by the setting sun transformation, restricted by chains, but Asa says to release them, and though he really doesn't want to, Libe will do so. "What do you two want?" He looks to Sally and Valtos says that he just wants to see Light and confirm the truth if he truly abandoned them for good, and Sally just wants to do experiments again. "Well, if you don't betray us during this mission, you can feel free to research my body. I'm sure it'll be something." "Wait, really?" As her eyes light up, Liu would then say this is crazy, but also smiles, saying that if enemies have even a bit of a chance of turning over to their side, he'll take it. Well, oh wait, I didn't tell everyone. As he turns back to ask everyone's opinion, because he hadn't yet, obviously, he sees Charmy already making food for them as Gordon carries 2 plates past them and hands them over. What are you guys doing? Help us pass out the food, Asta, said Charmy. Put that face of yours to use. But they're still enemies, don't you want to? If you say you want to help them, then we're fine with this, said Luck, as he would then free fall from the Black Bull formation and he would land. The others would then arrive with some people who are in need of nourishment, and all Asta can say is thank you. Now, after gorging down all that food, the Black Bulls fall through a portal using the help of Valdos' magic and crash into the Clover capital, taking many by surprise with their appearance. Now hold up your end of the bargain, yells Asta. I just need to speak to that bastard again. It's clear that the Bulls have, seen a lot of battles, but the battles that have taken place here are crazy. The kingdom is literally in shambles, and there are many still taking place, like inside the buildings, castles. Fugoyan woke up, first of all, not that they know this, and he has a salamander spirit. Fenrir, Yami, and Jack put down Langris. Fenrir connected to him a little bit with his brother. They reconciliated. Noelle protected her siblings and learned the truth from Nozel, but not really. It's a curse. He can't say everything. Leopold advances magic, and so on. You know the drill. Everyone has to push past their limits to survive. Guys, up the castle, let's go, yells Asta. Henry makes the bull charge forward, filling the kingdom with tremors as they carefully avoid those who might be in their way, and they reach their comrades, meaning nearby, I guess you could say nearby the Shadow Castle or whatever. And as they arrive there, the gravito belt is now, of course, in the capital as it traveled over, and the bull would swing at the elves in the air, with Asta flying out of the bull, and instantly all the elves get instinctually terrified. Attack him all together, he can't take on all of us. Hey, don't forget about us, yell the Black Bulls, as by using Luck's hyper-sensation of mana, he directs Henry to fire blasts of mana directly where people would be moving to, and this would bounce them off their course and stop them from attacking Asta. And angered, they gathered all their mana from one attack, but Vanessa's Cat of Fate allows them to dodge without even moving at all, and the elves just end up behind the bull formation. But how did such a thing even happen? Asked Klaus. He's still possessed, by the way. In that instant, he and all the other elves begin to be shackled by flaming chains, and as they struggle to get free, their magic begins to be sapped, being given to the Grimoire, which Asta of course holds, and begins to emanate huge amounts of mana while they pass out. Nearing the entrance of the Shadow Palace, Ghosh and his possessed sister stand beside Licht, noticing that he's panicking from seeing this boy. We need to run right now. That noble will massacre us. We need to... Paltry. It's okay. The little brat showing off like usual, yells Jack. Why are you always interrupting my fights, huh? Just then the remaining elves were about to attack, but Asta purges their friends from, his friends' bodies and his fellow knights, and they would freeze, and then they're dropped by the chains and are caught by the Black Bull formation. What did that human just do? Our brethren. You stupid Asta, you found a way to free them after all, yells Noelle. Well, yes, but I think that would make me more clever now. Flying over, we then cut to an elf as they sneak to the top of the bull formation, being unseen, and with nervous breath, the captain of the Coral Peacock, who is not possessed, I have to keep saying that, makes her appearance as she's then noticed last minute by Asta, who says, Guys, move right now. Instantly, the top half of the bull is ripped away, disappearing into nothingness into her dream world, leaving everyone shocked by the power of Dorothy. Gorsh then deploys mirrors that surround the entire rest of the formation, and Liquid fires spears of light that bounce within the parameters of these mirrors, attacking with even more fierce power and more, and more, when instantly these mirrors and the spears are then shattered and blown away to show Asta in Spirit Dive. Pushing away Licht to safety, Gorsh would, Paltry. Pushing Paltry to safety, Gorsh would fire a mirror ray at his back, forcing him into the Shadow Palace, and he's forced to leave, but now at least he's safe. But Asta appears right before Ghosh and his sister, and all the elves do is just smile. Win. For us, he thought. Asta would then swing down as the reincarnation is broken instantly for both of them. Sorry, but I'm taking my friends back, said Asta. All of them. I understand, human, but actions of yours have consequences. Make sure to keep that in mind. I'm cleaning up yours, I'll be sure to, said Asta. The elf and his sister have their souls expunged from their bodies as Ghosh falls blacking out. The last thing the elf said to his sister was to apologize for roping her into this, to which she was fine with because he was her lovely brother. Obviously, to themselves, they're just people trying to get revenge, so they don't really care. Ghosh. As he starts to come to, he faces Gordon up close, freaking out Ghosh as he slams his forehead against his as he sits up, and the whole squad is waiting for him. Marie? He sees her crying her eyes out as she was happy she didn't hurt anyone, and Asta would say it's okay. She never did those things, and he would never allow her to. Are you people idiots? What? Said Gordon. You cranky because you got taken over? Sorry about that. Our hideout was destroyed, and you guys put yourselves in danger just to help us. I don't care about any of you. I only look out for me and Marie. That's not true, said Marie. You don't mean that? We know he doesn't, said Asta. You know what we're waiting for. We're not moving an inch until you say it. Ugh, thank you, alright? You guys are so annoying. Don't mention it, you sister-loving jerk. They smother him with affection, which pisses him off. Man, a cotton mound then falls from the sky, falling on them, containing everyone who was trapped in that dream world who had just returned, having obviously won the battle. Oh, Gush is back, said Vanessa, as she leaps off the cotton, saying, hey, don't forget about us. Zora and Noah at this moment then flies over, landing as the bulls reunite, getting back into their usual mojo, but then they also notice that Yami is gone along with Jack, meaning that he must have already entered this bizarre Shadow Palace. I forgot about the name before, my bad, but it's called the Shadow Palace. Mimosa, Sally, Valtos, Rades, the entire Black Bull Brigade, except for Finro and Yami, are present, and Yami's just, of course, inside the actual place. And Asta would say, I'm joining them in there, alright? Join me when you're ready. I'm already in Spirit Dive, I might as well just use it. He dashes off as they yell, asking if it's really fine for him to go alone. We don't know anything about that place, said Noel. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Just then he enters the palace and finds himself being hurled forward in a world of black as he's violently pulled left and right until he's plopped out, landing on rock. He looks around and he finds massive and a lot of canvases filled with wonderful paintings, and sitting atop one of these wonderful canvases awaits Lyra. Ready for round 2, Noble? He asked. Holding his blade forward, Asta would say, sorry to break it to you, but I was born in the common realm. I'm not of royal descent at all. This surprises the elf, who says, then why are you so loved by Mana? I don't know why everyone keeps asking me that, said Asta. Lyra, with the swing of his paintbrush, will then create a giant snarling beast that lunges forward for Asta, who dodges, running across his back as it takes a bite of the ground. Asta would then swing down as a dimensional slash rips through the elf, instantly breaking the spell. How did he? In one blow? As he begins to fall, his canvases begin to fade away as Asta catches and holds him at his side before laying him down, and he touches ground. I'll be back for you. Why don't you just destroy my soul instead? Asked Lyra. I wouldn't do such a thing to even my worst enemy. Like I told your leader, I will find out why you're all doing this. The elf fully fades, leaving Rill out cold, and Asta would then run off, heading upward at the speed of light, moving and moving until he floats down into a new room. Finding himself surrounded from all sides by light spears and burning spheres of flame, before him stand Paltry, Raya, and Roan, a elf we have never seen before. It won't be the same as last time. Light magic, swords of conviction, copy magic, light swords of conviction, and Cardius Brachium. As he's attacked from all sides, however, with his eyes covered, even then Asta dodges attack after attack seamlessly, leaving them completely at a loss for words. Mana Zone. He creates a second blade, swinging down as we hear him say the name of the spell that distorts dimensions. Mana Zone. Double Dimension Slash. Both Raya and Licht are hit and cleaved by these attacks, crashing into a wall behind, just as Asta would turn, swinging and cutting off the arm of Roan, who reaches for something from behind. Something about this elf, it feels off, he thought. Reaching behind himself with this blade, he would then block the invisible attack of Raya, who would then show himself, throwing a kick, which Asta spin dodges and brings down his blade through his neck, searing a burn into it as his eyes go blank. However, healing himself quickly, Raya would then swing down with a dark slash, and Roan would then reach for him again, but as Asta is about to attack from above, Paltry appears swinging a whip of light. They all strike, sending tremors through the room as the ground is torn to ribbons, blinding us with a dust cloud, which is then blown away to show Yuno and Asta now standing back to back, as around them erects a barrier made of flames and wind, which is holding off each of their attacks as they keep attacking him to not give him a break. With this, we can consider my death from before pay, said Yuno. Consider it done. We didn't even keep up with him arriving, thought Ron. This is getting interesting. Isn't their compatibility too perfect, thought Paltry? Even Lick's talent is dwarfed by them. The elf would then jump back, as would the other two, and the barrier would dissipate, but then you don't notice his pendant is gone, and as he looks forward, Ron is holding it. Good work, Ron, says Paltry. Yes, now we can make everything right. However, Raya feels something off, asking his elven brethren why did he just lie to them about a simple, magic stone. It might be important, but like, why would he lie to them about that? He can tell when people are lying, obviously. You know, and Asta can feel tension growing between the elves as Paltry asks what's wrong, and with a nervy and creepy smile, the unsuspecting elf whispered something, and the next thing they knew, Raya had a gaping hole in his stomach. He begins to fall as Paltry runs to him, but all he could think was, how long was this imposter in our midst? How long? Paltry then catches him, asking Ron what he was doing as Asta runs over, forming a halo above Raya, who begins to heal, though very slowly. I'm sorry, I'm not much of a healing mage. Most should be here soon. I don't have time for this human's bizarre behavior, thought Paltry. Who is that? It can't be Ron. The defective elf then moves instantaneously to a platform where all the other stones are. I don't know what these pendants are to you, but that is mine. Give it back, said Yuno. However, the elf will then plop this into a spot it's meant to be at, and he holds up his arms as if praising a deity, and a massive black rises as he welcomes it back. It takes back what it looked like a part of its essence from the elf, and their eyes are left wide-eyed. Every cell in their body is telling them that the being appearing before them can be described as anything other than a devil. Rowan would fall, tumbling across the floor, completely dead, and Zagre begins to laugh. So this isn't my original body, but it'll do. They're all left sweating. The mana radiating from this being is eerie and just innately terrifying, so they're kind of frozen. Move, move, thought Asta. Inside him then thumped something as he felt the rising rage of Liebe. He was almost taken over by it. They now share a body, and he understands that he has to not just apprehend this creature, but destroy it. Aside from that, he himself felt an urge to cleave him to pieces. Ah, the elf chosen by the four-leaf. I'll let you experience the same despair Lake did years ago. Wait, what do you mean? Asked Paltry. Those humans were ripe to be used. I mean, their lust for your mana, the way they practically worshipped you. You're all such fools. Paltry's anger bottoms out as he's about to scream at the top of his lungs, but Asta does it for him, lunging forward and yelling, "Don't you dare laugh! Please, return." As his voice reaches Asta, however, he is only stopped for a moment right as he finds his blade at his neck. What? Cleaving his head off, Asta shows a look of rage as he swings his staff as he turns around, sending him flying as he's lit ablaze, and his remaining little head is then cut to shreds before then being burnt by a massive blast. Now I know who did all this. You're not going anywhere. As last begins to be heard, the devil appears behind Asta yelling, "Plummet!" This time, though he resists, Asta is flung to the ground and crashes into it, but quickly leaps back, cleaving through his torso, just as Yuno would then snap out of his fear, stepping in front of Paltry. Hey, this is Captain Von Jones' body. You better not die. He then turns his attention to the battle above, firing a blast of spirit storm from behind at the devil, who is reforming from Asta's cuts, but he speaks, saying, "Vacuum wall." The wind blast is dispersed upon nearing him, with him also commanding Asta's flaming blades to be extinguished, but they only grow stronger upon him trying to, as Asta would then pull back both his swords, saying, "You can't snuff out the flames of the sun." Sun breathing. As he swings both of his blades, he would raise them to the sky, conjuring a rising tornado of flames that encircles Zagrid. Burning bones. Summer sun. These raging flames then compress onto the devil, turning to slashes that cleave and burn him like a massive saw that he's stuck in, and he's left screaming and screaming, and the flames are finally forcefully dispersed by him as he says, "Heal, heal, heal. You're insignificant. You're just a human. Just wait till I get my full power." No chance. From behind him now, swelling with power and awakening the power of Lake's child inside him, Yuno creates a giant blade as he thought, "I'm not losing to Asta." As their true battle begins in a back and forth, meanwhile, Mimosa would finally arrive, sneaking by and beginning to heal Raya, who asks just what she's doing. Asta's clearly trying to keep you safe, and it means that you're also worth saving. And also, for no reason will I ever let someone die in front of me. She's not lying, he thought. Wait, where's Paltry? As he looks forward, he sees his despairing mana enveloping him as he would fly towards the battle until his rage finally explodes into that of light spears hurled at Zagreus, with Yuno and Asta jumping out of the way as the devil commands the spells to vanish. Come here! Instantly, he finds himself before the devil, who summons spears that pierce him from below, holding him in place as he screams in agony and despair. With tears running down his face, he would exclaim, I'll kill you, I swear! As Asta and Yuno dart back at Zagreus again, however, he touches the grimoire of the elf, making it his own as it gains a 5-leaf, becoming eerie and demonic-like. I'll have to leave, but I'll leave you with the parting gift at least. With this magic, he freezes Paltry, and using his hatred against him as well as his own huge amounts of mana, of course, Zagreus turns him into a dark elf that he then releases, and just as they swing at Zagreus, the devil will then yell teleport, vanishing into thin air. Damn it! Releasing demon light magic, Paltry would then now be mumbling in complete disarray, firing double rays of divine judgment attacks that Asta would cleave through because one of them came at him, but Yuno has trouble with his for a bit. He pushes screaming, using all his strength until he also cuts it, but already closing in, Asta slams a kick into the dark elf's head as he crashes, shaking the place. Wake up, he's using you! From the crash, however, the elf flies back at the two. I hate you. You all need to die. However, as he fires his ray, a silver shield is thrown in Yuno's way, blocking his attack as Nozel would fly in. Your appearance has slightly changed since last time, said the captain. Captain Nozel, said Asta. As his mercury flows around him, the elf would fire his demonic light spears again, and they're easily blocked because he and Nozel actually are practically natural enemies in terms of attributes. Much like Ghosh's magic can reflect Paltry's magic back at him. From his surrounding shields that he's laid out, he then fires tendrils at the tip of which hold spears, which Paltry then dodges, rising into the air, but then he's hit by a droplet of mercury as he grunts in pain, and he dodges, not noticing an entire rainfall of them dropping down from above. Asta and Yuno use this time to catch their breath, especially Asta, since these massive, insane bursts of speed are, if you haven't noticed, not normal. He needs to gather a lot of mana and hit just his breath in general for him to be able to keep up with Zagreus, and that was annoying enough as is. So he's watching Nozel work, and adding mana to the the mana that he has stored in his grimoire to himself, he's also effectively replenishing his own reserves. But as I thought, he's amazing, thought Asta. He wasn't firing for no reason, said Yuno, as Nozel would then now stop this massive rainfall, and these droplets then expand into a cage surrounding the dark elf. Mercury magic. Silver Star of Execution. This cage will both cage your light magic and you. It's inescapable. Despite all his efforts to fly out, the elf cannot, and ends up firing light spears, which are then reflected back at him from all sides, grievously injuring him. Asta and Yuno, was it? Sorry to disappoint you, but I'm gonna be the Wizard King. Now while I'm still here, Asta said. Yuno merely shows a defiant look, which is more than enough to show he's not going down. Nozel then retracts the cage and pushes the injured elf in a bind of mercury. Meanwhile, Raya feels as though he's delirious because he's starting to see Tetsuya and Mimosa, that being Lick's wife, and his injuries at this point are almost closed up completely. In the end, I get saved by a human noble. This is why I don't get involved with people like them, he thought. Nozel meanwhile tries to kill Paltry, but both Asta and Yuno say no, as well as Raya, of course. And Yuno would say it's because Vanya's body is obviously still there, like he's just taking over her soul. And for Asta, he simply wants to save the elf. As Paltry is fully descended, Asta would march forward, holding his blade at his chest, getting rid of the mercury as a black mass of enormous mana explodes from him, surprising everyone, and this black mass begins to gather and envelop Asta. I trust you, so you better come back, said Yuno. No worries, I will. Finding himself falling deeper into a void, he begins to see memory after memory surrounding him as he experiences literally everything Paltry has seen, including the apparent death of Julius, and his rage is massive just upon learning this fact at all. But he also felt the rage that, well, the elf felt at nobles in general, and he just couldn't handle all of it. God, my head hurts. As if a seal breaks on his own mind, a new amount of memories sink into him from his past life, but he's not gonna know them yet because it's just too much information. So now he can access them at some point, which I will do later. And though a long ride, eventually he touches ground and he is left gasping for breath. He slowly stands, looking around. Oh, damn it. Sucks doing the right thing. That's when he sees a spot of light where Paltry sits. I finally found you. The elf noticed him, and he was now in a panic because he was also in his true form. What do you want with me, human? Even with all that bravado, you really were just a kid, huh? I knew I had a feeling. Like you've been tricked and used. You couldn't protect what was important to you, but right now, you're only making it worse. You're running. You locked yourself up thinking that it was easier. These words begin to shatter his psyche as he explodes with anger, saying that Asta knows nothing about him, and releasing a shockwave, he keeps Asta at bay. But even while currently weakened, Asta breaks through, facing him down. You killed the Wizard King. He didn't do anything to you. He was loved by everybody. You're hurting innocents. You almost killed the only family I ever had. I won't forgive you. I can't forgive you. You left a mess in my world. 1, you need to fix it. And 2, you have no choice. Even if you think you can't, I'll be right there. Stop. Get away from me. Just leave me alone. He throws a punch which Asta would then catch, grabbing him by the shoulder, and looking extremely tired, he would face him down. And Paltry notices the man he was trying to surpass finally showed vulnerability, and yet he looked far stronger than he ever had when they met. I'm the man who will become the Wizard King, so I won't give up on you, even if you give up on yourself. These words left Paltry not knowing what to say, nothing to retaliate with, until he screams, holding on to Asta as he accepts his grief and pain. And this allows him to change. This black mask disperses in the real world to show Paltry, well, okay now, but one of his eyes still black, a consequence of being, tainted with forbidden magic. You're a really stupid human. He brought back Paltry, said Raya. Please help me fix this, said the elf. Calling me stupid and then asking for help the next. You really are a kid. Of course I'll help. I don't know what you did, but I assume we have a new ally, said Nozel. The Shadow Palace, however, begins to shake as they all look up, seeing a disgusting mass of bizarre magic falling towards them. That's devil magic, yells Paltry. They each fire all their magic at it, but Asta observes with his eyes, saying, It won't work. What? As their attacks hit, they see that they are all absorbed as it falls to the floor, spreading out as a massive wave that almost hits Mimosa and Raya, but Asta moves, grabbing them and throwing them aside. Asta, no! As she screams, Mimosa watches as he's engulfed by this mass. There's no way. He can't be. Their morale goes down, instantly having thought that they had lost Asta and they're being cornered. Their magic isn't doing anything, but inside this mass, Asta was alive. But of course in a lot of pain. This bizarre material was hurting him, sucking him dry of magic, and he resisted nonetheless, asking Liebe, this isn't the end, right? Right? Peering into the heart of Asta, we see the pissed off Liebe, who says, Of course not. A crack of lightning is heard as the mass reaching Asta's comrades is then blown away instantly, and they're left in awe as they look forward, seeing Asta holding a giant flaming blade rising through the tunnel and burning the negative magic to nothing. He expends all of his mana, and yellow lightning sparks off of Asta, whose blade then eventually loses its size, returning to normal, and he holds it at his side. His skin burnt, scarred. Even though he was in spirit dive, it did nothing to help him, and out of him then flew Liebe, who quickly begins to heal him as everyone gathered around. Is Asta gonna be okay? Says Mimosa as she begins to heal him as well. Hell no, he's tough, he's not some monster. Yeah, talk to me. Give me a hand, will you? I'm gonna take a while to get back into the fight. They're all left dumbstruck that he's still thinking about helping and fighting in this moment, and would grab him up in his arms, as Belle had never seen her host so pissed off before. I'll take care of Asta. That human, even with all of this, he's still trying to fight? That Paltry? I'll repay this debt, Asta, said Nozel. Me and Mimosa will head further down to help the others. Mimosa then shows a map using her magic, showing Asta stop the spread of this material, but she knows exactly where the others are. But the mass fell right from above them, so it's reachable to see the actual source of it. But Asta has to... No, he won't. I'll take care of everything else that comes his way, said Liebe. I'll delegate the rest of all the stored mana to heal him. Seems like you know about the enemy abyss, said Nozel. so I wish you luck. Paltry, Yuno, and Asta then nod as Asta's skin begins to heal, though very, very slowly. Will Asta regain his strength in time for round 2? Will they win? Find out in the next part of Black Clover. It's been your boy Prince of This. Hope you enjoyed this, and it's time for me to leave. Peace. I'm gone.
Hey kid, don't ever let them get inside your head. They'll tell you what to do in life instead of everything you know that you could get. Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget.